Oh, right, Danny, do you want to do the thing?
Welcome back to Forever Hardcore Podcast, episode 437,008. And we have Mr. Khifie, who we've had on in person actually, didn't we? We did the in real life session in Hardcore Corner. And what a day it
Yeah,
was.
when you forgot to charge the mics up, Dan, and the camera.
I actually didn't forget. I put them on
Oh,
charge,
yes, it was Ellis's fault. Sorry, yes.
and Alice decided that she needed a phone more than we needed the podcast, which we drove 8 hours to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
so
feel
if you
like
don't know who Chris is, you're not on the right channel anyway. But if you don't know who Chris is, just scroll back a few episodes and you'll see who he is. But he is the Natty Deadlift monster.
he is the natty destroyer of all things natty.
Actually, Chris, I think last time, on the first one we did,
when we were
I
in the
know, I
hardcore
know,
corner.
yeah, I know everybody kind of speaks about this all the time because you were possibly thinking about crossing over to the dark side. Have you considered that again, or are you just going to stay on Team Natty? I know that's a very personal question. I know you don't have any problem talking about it. So
Yeah, I think now I'm Team Natty, like for good,
yeah,
to be fair. There was times where I just went in and out of it, but honestly, from what I've been able to like do and achieve and everything like that around just being Natty now, and it's kind of like I just feel as if it's my kind of thing, and I just want to be able to try and push it as far as possible. Like I don't know when I'll compete again, but like from a training side and just everything else around it, it's like, well, I'm just gonna see how far I can take it and just rinse the most out of it.
yeah.
Well, it's actually a niche now.
Yeah.
You're like in the minority, like even for your.
Actually, Chris, just whilst I remember, congratulations, because
Oh,
I
thank you.
think about told me you got engaged, and so if you are engaged, that means you got to keep those testicles nice and plump. Because the
Well,
next step
that's
is some mini Khifies getting popped out.
Yeah,
So
because when she removes them on your wedding day,
then I'm just gonna hop on that
yeah,
yeah,
day.
you might as well. Just chuck them in the bin. Yeah, congrats, Chris. Sorry, I'm a little out of the loop these days. I only heard it like maybe it was a week ago, and I think you've been engaged for like 3 weeks or
Yeah, no,
something.
to be fair, I never posted or anything like that about it or like
So you didn't post on Instagram. That
didn't
means you're not
happen.
really engaged.
Didn't
that.
happen.
Well, that's true. That's true. I just had too many training videos to post that.
Yeah. To be
You,
fair, I actually did say that. Someone mentioned it to me. I was like, oh, I didn't see anything online. I thought, what a douchebag thing to say. Like, just because it hasn't been online doesn't mean he didn't get engaged. But I haven't seen you much in Ultraflex over the last few months. You've been like dotting around here and there. And obviously, I've
Yeah.
been with spastic arm and stuff, training at like random times and stuff. So literally, is the kind of the first time we kind of crossed paths, if you like. So I said, hey, would you like to come on the podcast?
Yeah, to be fair, I didn't. I've never really wanted to bother you when I've seen you like.
It's likewise, mate. If I see you training, then I'll just give you a kind of
Yeah,
salute.
yeah,
My training now, doesn't really matter if I get bothered now. I'm not in that kind of zone anymore. But yeah, if I see you in the zone, I'll just leave you be and just give you a thumbs up. Or
to be fair, I'm sure I've seen you progress from a one plate single arm row to maybe a 5 plate single arm row last week.
yeah, I was doing some hammer rolls with the 5 plates, man. It is progress. The arm has progressed. Touch wood. It has progressed quite a lot. So I'm kind of. I actually got a message from the surgeon's assistant yesterday saying, "Hey, would you like some prices on revision surgery?" I was like, "Well, we didn't actually say it actually needed surgery again yet." So yeah, I'm going to hang fire for now. It is quite a bit better, touch wood. So yeah, we'll see how that goes.
do you think it was like the initial like setup was like just harder for you, possibly some diabetic shit like thrown in, and now it's on the mend, or do you think it's like,
Um, right,
or it
I'll try
is
and put it in a
fine?
nutshell without boring the shit out of everyone about my arm again. So I had it repaired. According to the physio, I was ahead on recovery and I was hammering the TB500 and the BPC. And this isn't an advert for Biolab Shop because I'm not associated with them. I don't have a discount code. I'm not looking for a discount code or anything. So, it can get a little bit pricey as well. And I did mention, if you remember, Dan, we spoke about it started giving me some like digestive issues, which should be actually the other way around. But when I took it out, the digestive issues kind of cleared up. So I stayed off it, and the tricep tended to just seem to regress a little bit. So I started up again, and it seems to be progressing again. Well, could be a little bit of a coincidence. I have had somebody else look at the MRI that I had done after the surgery when the elbow was like humongous. But unfortunately, there's a lot of fluid in there, so you couldn't see like 100% what was going on. But I won't say who had a look at it. It was basically another retired surgeon. He said he wasn't sure why the surgeon had attached the tendon in the way he has. He seems to have kind of like went on an angle. There might be a very specific reason about that. I don't know. I need to discuss that with him. But it's just weird. Yes, the diabetes isn't going to help. The recovery is obviously slower. I mean, if you have high blood sugars, your tendons don't glide correctly, all that kind of shit. But yeah, I don't really know. Every time I have some surgery, I don't recover that great, probably due to being type 1. But yeah, it's the all I can how I can explain it is when your arms are out straight like this arm wants to like kind of come in. It's like the lateral head on the tricep doesn't want to fire in certain positions. So if I have a dumbbell, it kind of like comes in a little bit. And if I'm on a barbell, obviously you're kind of fixed in a plane. It just feels a bit weird, but it is feeling better. So right, we'll cut the tricep talk there. Thanks for asking, gents. But it is quite a bit better. So fingers crossed and toes. We make some progress, and we don't have to get it open back up again, because that's like literally the last thing I want to do is get it open back up again.
Oh.
Have you ever had an injury, Chris?
Yes.
A serious one?
Back in my I think I was on prep. I was on prep. Yeah, I was in 2022. Like both of my discs slipped, and then I ended up with like I had bad sciatica a good number of years ago now, and then both of my discs slipped actually surprisingly on a deadlift, but it was because I had literally been away and we'd been like at a spa, so I was like so chilled. My body was like so relaxed. And then obviously I went in for a really heavy deadlift session on my top set on like I was doing, I think it was like 280, 290 kilo, and I was on like my 6th rep and something just went, and I just knew straight away there was something wrong. But I progressively got better, and then we actually went away, trained legs. I done a hip press, and as I ultimately came down on like the eccentric part of it, it just went again, and I just felt both of them like basically get pushed to either side.
Yeah.
And then I'd done it for a 3rd time, and I just got to the point where I was like, I could not walk, I couldn't do anything. And I got like chiro work and that done, and obviously I've been able to bounce back and touch wood. Obviously everything's okay now, but I was around like 18 weeks out or something like that, and that put me off for like, or I had it for like at least 5-6 months.
Yeah.
And that was like probably the worst pain that I've ever had, because I was like, I would sit down and like I'd not be able to get back up or anything like that. But in terms of like surgery side of things and that, like I've been okay.
Yeah, you're still a young chap though, aren't you? How old are you now, Chris?
26. I'm getting on.
I saw Dan's face. I was 26. Like, I really can't even remember that far back. That's yeah, shit.
Yeah.
Dan, do you have any schedule? Because we were just going to shoot the breeze tonight, weren't we? Because we're just trying to get at least one in a week of either a guest or just shooting the shiz.
I mean, you said it was boring, but something.
No, I didn't say it was boring. It was, hey, I actually had a listen to our last podcast because I slipped on it by accident with Connor. I thought that was a good podcast, actually.
Yeah.
Does that sound weird listening to your own podcast? Because obviously when we're doing it, you're not kind of listening, are you? So
Yeah.
I had a listen.
Yeah, I have listened to some of them back. I do remember listening back to some of the Bash Bros things, like what the fuck am I? What?
Yeah, Bash Bros was pretty brutal. Is that definitely dead and gone now? Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to look up the old ones if you want to.
I'm sure I was on that once.
Yeah, you were.
Like 20 years ago.
Dan is quite tame on here, isn't he? I think it's because when Leroy comes on, he's just very respectful. When
Yeah,
he doesn't even swear.
Yeah, well, I'm not. It's definitely slightly more. It's slightly more tame. Also, I don't have anyone to like rip the shit out of, and yeah, it's not quite the same if Leroy's there. Like watching Leroy's face, even if he disapproves. Oh, I'm sorry, Dad. Sorry. The one that I always get asked is like balancing work. Khifie, you must have had a job before. You were super coach of the Natty tribe.
Yeah, I used to have a job in like a little corner shop. To be fair, it was like I wouldn't say it was like the hardest of graft, but I would do like I don't know what it was. I would work from like 2 till like 9, 10 at night. So like for me at the time I was like kind of still at school and that, and then I had that up until I was about mm, maybe like what age would I have been? I had it until around maybe 2018, 2019, and then I done PT on the gym floor. When I done PT on the gym floor, I was out from like 6 in the morning, and then I would have my last PT at like fucking 9 at night. So like to be
Yeah.
fair, that was probably the start of like my real working like career.
And that well, I imagine you like trained in the place that you trained other people.
Yeah, yeah. The
And
the
so
little
would
the
you do it like in the middle of the day, just like have a window in between clients?
yeah, no, like if I could, I tried my best to train at like 2 3 p.m. But then I was in a space where it was like because I had to um like I had to find my own clients. I had to then work around their times because if I didn't, then I wouldn't have made any money. Um, and I was also like, so I was in a space where sometimes I would train in the morning, then I would maybe get a window at 2 p.m. sometimes, and then sometimes I wouldn't be training until like 10 at night just because I was having to work around people's times if I wanted the work.
Hmm.
So it wasn't like a case of where I would like be a PT on a gym floor and like like your bigger franchises that you get the clients given to you. So then obviously you're working a certain amount of hours and then you kind of have I guess you've got a little bit more routine. I never really had any routine in that. So it was just
Yeah.
like
The money for the people that do the gym allocated is shit.
yeah,
And they're charging like the client like double what you're actually getting.
yeah,
Yeah, that's fucking wank.
it is.
Yeah, it is honestly big props to anybody who does PT like full time. I do a couple of sessions here and there at Autoflex. And like I don't think I could do it like from 9 till like 6 at night. It'd be fucking if you're like a proper PT, if you're not one of those PTs where they're just like, yeah, yeah, cool, yeah. If you're actually into it and you want to see someone do well, it is quite energy draining, isn't it?
Mm.
The most I've done is like 3, 4 in a row the odd day, and that's even too much for me. I
It is
tend to do like 1 or 2 a day. That's it.
it's a lot whenever you're on somebody. It's not a lot if you're like just saying to them, right, do 12 reps and then you stand on your phone. But if you're like
Yeah,
actually training them, then it's definitely demanding.
yeah,
Well, you're invested, aren't you? If
Yeah,
you're,
yeah.
I mean, I used to do cardio at like Nuffield Health or something. Cavallis was the manager there, and so I just get him free to do the cardio because it was closer. And these PTs are like, oh, the people arrive, and it's like, let's do 20 minutes on the stairs.
yeah. That's 20 minutes to be 16 minutes gone.
Yeah,
I
it's
know,
like,
I know.
and then
Honestly, I just train like kind of regular folk now, and every single one of them give it some.
yeah,
It's not like they're just kind of messing around and pissing around. They're all, one of my gentlemen, he's nearly 60 years old, and he loves to train hard. That's fucking awesome to see.
I
So
mean, I think as long as someone's giving it, it doesn't really matter what they're actually doing it. As long as they're enjoying it, what I can't do is be someone's motivation day in, day out. That's
that's
that
exactly what I was going with the whole like kind of those guys who come in, they can't wait to come in. So I don't have any issue
yeah.
with like, come on, let's get your finger out your ass type of thing. That's their favorite part of the day. So I am pleased I can be part of that type of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, if
Yeah.
I was having to motivate like 10 people a day, it would weigh you down 100%.
What about you, Anth? What's like the shittest like gym, like was shittest training job combination?
When I was younger, I used to work at a hotel, Ramside Hotel. Actually, know where we get the treehouse now and
I
again.
fucking love Ramside.
Yeah, I don't. When I worked as a fucking porter, we used
Well,
to work as
no.
a porter in there. So when I was younger, I think I used to work like 7 till something like 7 till 1. Then like, is it called like a split shift? So
Yeah, yeah.
7 till 1. Then I used to get the bus to the gym, to Flex It Gym, train from like 2 till 4. Get the bus back and start back at work at like 6 till 11, and then just oh, that was it. Just do that like 7 days a week. And I knew that I couldn't do that. I hated it. But as you say, like you just think, right, I'll do this for the meantime until something better comes along, until you get sorted. Because now I keep saying like, oh, young guys, but yes, if a young guy doesn't like a job, they just like pack it in and go, I ain't working there. Like just fucking stick it out, or something else better comes along, or you create something better for yourself.
There is like maybe it's like fueled by social media, but like the level of what people expect at entry is like probably what's making everyone so depressed. It's like I've always said I'll always be all right, because if I need to, I'll go and flip burgers. I don't have a pride like about like if there needs to be the rent paid, I'm working at Audi. Like I don't have a. Some people say, "Oh, I'd never work on Audi," or like young kid, people. I could never get the bus. I have to have a car. Like I have to, mate, I'll get the bus and work at Audi if I have to. I don't have like a pride like element. But how did you eat, Amph? Were you able to like sneak away and like eat
Yeah,
in
that was the
in the
the
gym
best
cupboard?
thing about the best thing about Ramside was you were allowed to eat anything you were like in the kitchen. So you weren't allowed to take anything home, but you could eat as much as you wanted there. So
Oh.
yeah, on my break, I would just go in the toilet and just have about 10 chicken drumsticks. I always remember this time when like there used to be like a milk machine in it, and the head chef was like, "Hey, who the fuck's drank all the milk? There was like fucking 3 gallons in there." I was like, "Ugh." And then the cleaner was like, "Oh, why is there always chicken drumsticks in the toilets in the bin?" Oh, okay, so yeah, my diet was like chicken drumsticks, bananas, and milk basically. But yeah, again, I used to work in a sawmill, and like you didn't even have time to eat a sandwich. I used to just get some bread, smash that in, and smash some chicken in, and you just find the time, don't you? It's not that hard. Or if
Would
it's
you?
if it is hard, you make it work, don't you, Chris?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
far too many excuses now. Oh, can't eat my meals. Yes, you fucking can. You're just being lazy.
Well, the thing that gets me is like, oh, well, like, with bodybuilding, I had to be a coach so I could fit my bodybuilding in. It's like,
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
you've never like competed. Like, if you prep your food, you probably only really need to cook like twice a week, really.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
you're lucky enough to have an air fryer nowadays, you don't even need to watch it. So we're talking like 12 minutes to like cook 3 days worth of, let's call it half an hour if you have to put some potato in the oven whilst the air fryer's going, sort of thing. And like I've never found a better time saving endeavor than eating healthily. Like the whole I don't have time to eat is a fucking farce. It's fake news. It's like I could
Yeah,
definitely.
you used to work the dawn stuff, Dan. So I'm assuming you used to finish like middle of the night, early hours of the morning,
Yeah, yeah.
get about 6 minutes sleep,
Well, I
and
used
then
to
go to the
train.
gym.
I used to train after sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I'd have sometimes, well, at certain times I'd have more time on a weekend than I would in the week, especially when I was doing teacher training at the same time. Then obviously the week was like I had to travel really far away um to do my placement. So, but yeah, I remember I'd get like a potato as well, and I'd like get some of the potato out of it to like stuff it with tuna so I could like eat it like an apple,
Yeah,
like
tuna
out of
apples.
tin foil.
Maybe she could do your own meal prep, Dan. You'd make those.
Yeah, yeah, gains on the
You can have
doors.
tuna apples. Yeah, you'd be a
Yeah, you
I,
millionaire.
could. Well, you
I think
could.
it'll ultimately just come down to like you either want to make it work or you don't want to make it work. And I think because of the fucking pressure and that of social media nowadays of the only way you can become the only way you can become better is by not going out to work 9 till 5 and you have all this fucking free time in the day to train at one specific time every single day and eat at the same specific time and like do all that. I think it's just like you could work the what could be classed as the worst hours on the planet, or you could work however many hours you want a day. But if you want to make it work, like if you want to become a bodybuilder or don't want to become a bodybuilder, if you just want to fucking be in a deficit, like you can make it work. You just really have to want to.
Mm.
Yeah.
I have one guy who works like alternates. He does it 2 weeks days and 2 weeks nights. So the only real difference is when the week flipped,
Yep.
I'd reduce his volume on that flip week
Yep.
as he like adjusted to the nights because the flip round he gets like no sleep, and then so like he'd be doing like lower volume and then higher volume, but based on the week where he switched, because he was getting burned out. because of this kind of missing every 2 weeks, he basically missed a night's sleep. And that seemed to like work all right, and he was on it and eat the food and stuff like that. I think the idea that you need to be a coach so that you can work on your bodybuilding, especially at the beginning, is just
Yeah,
false.
but Dan, where do you have time to do like the journaling and the breath work and the ice baths? And honestly, none of them. I keep banging on. I always banging on about the old days, and because kind of this is what that channel's about, like this channel's about in a way. No guys like I was just talking to James there on WhatsApp because he was going to hop on tonight. I said, "Do you want to hop on tonight?" He's busy doing something with his gaming room or something. And I remember James saying he was constantly in his overdraft working removals and stuff. I think everybody thinks you've got to have everything perfectly aligned to be a successful bodybuilder, but most of the guys I know can just carnage. And but again, don't get me wrong. What I used to do at like 25, I think I would struggle to do it now at like 46.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, that's
in my 20s, I had endless energy. I would fucking go all day.
Yeah.
Like a machine. But you know, the older I get, the more tired I get. Unfortunately, it catches us all in the end.
I think what I say is like if you're in your 20s and you start in bodybuilding, like work on something else as well, because bodybuilding ultimately like isn't gonna make you loads of money unless you're like absolutely elite. And maybe you will, and that's cool. You can pack it in and just be, Mr. Olympia, wicked. But like there is enough time to follow another endeavor to get good enough at something else as well, or get a career, for when you are a bit older. Because, like you said, if I had to work the doors and teach at the same time, which I had to do because I'd accumulated a huge amount of debt, um, that wasn't really a problem then. But if I was trying to catch up, maybe trying to get a mortgage or something like that, like now, like being 40, trying to do that, it wouldn't be possible. So I say to the 20, if this whole like, oh, I need 10 hours sleep and then I need to have a nap. Like, if you're in your 20s and you're like 80 kilos, you probably all right. Like you don't. Yeah, but Dorian used to have 2 hours, and it's like, I didn't like, at the beginning.
Dorian used to work in a slaughterhouse. There you go. There's another bodybuilder who became the
Yeah.
best of his trade, and he had to do all that shit. So it is very rare that everybody's got everything in the perfect kind of scenario from the start anyway.
I just think it doesn't take that long. Like, okay, you've got to eat your meals, and like that is probably the most time-consuming thing. But how many hours is it a day if you split up? Like, how many meals do you need to do? You could like put your blended meals or your shakes like in the day rather than post-workout. You don't actually need a post-workout shake. It can just be somewhere else. You could have an intra-workout drink which will cover you for after and just eat a normal. Like the best way to set up is like when you can actually do it. So if you want to have a shake because you haven't got, I think it saves time. I think and you're in the gym 2 hours like max, like with going in and telling the person on the desk to eat a French ball bag and whatever, shoot the shit, and then you've got to cook for an hour and a half a week. I think it saves time.
I think it's probably got something to do with the part of people thinking they need like 5-star meals full of variety that takes forever to fucking prep them. It's like imagine though if they did only have 4 or 5 sources of food for a day, like one day, you could prep 2 or 3 days worth of food at one time, like, and buy so much time back that you could do a lot of stuff with. Whereas everybody, I think, just thinks that it's going to take that much time to do it. It's going to take that much time to eat. They need to have a specific window to eat their meals. They've got to chew at a specific speed. Therefore, that's going to take up time.
I reckon I could cook 3 days worth of food.
Yeah.
Like in the time. Maybe I'll do a video on this, and I'll send Ellis to go and get a McDonald's from the drive-through, and we'll see who does it first.
Legit.
I bet I could beat it. Like, it's just bollocks. I think bodybuilding saves time, even with the training, like, because you're not thinking about it. You've all tried to order delivery with your missus, right? Yeah. Fuck me. That's a fucking hour gone, isn't it? And then there's an argument. Oh, what do you want? I don't mind. Well, what about this? Well, not that. Well, you do mind. Fucking. That's why I just don't.
That's married life, Dan. That's what Chris is looking forward.
That's why I don't bother. I'm like, Alice, you having chicken and rice? Get fucked.
Yeah, yeah, I'm a protein shake. Well, there you
Yeah,
go.
yeah. We haven't got time. You're having a protein shake.
£3.50, please.
Uh,
Oh, so anyway, there's one for you then, Chris. So any advice? I'm sure we asked Connor this anyway last week. Any advice for anybody who is thinking about starting to be a bodybuilder?
keep it simple. Keep it simple. Learn the basic fundamentals first, and that's not even like that's not in training. Just learn how to eat and learn how to eat consistent, and just I wouldn't say go straight into the part of like, oh, you need to be willing to suffer and stuff like that, because you've just got to, everybody knows that's going to happen at some point, but at the same time, I think there's that much stuff nowadays on how you can make a prep easier on your body from a fatigue standpoint and stuff like that. And I definitely think if you're an aspiring bodybuilder who wants to become competitive, you can't buy into stuff like that. So I would definitely just say to begin with, just have a plan in place, keep it simple, learn how to train well, learn how to eat well, learn how to go to bed and just get enough sleep, and just be willing to do that daily. And if you're willing to do that daily and you're willing to be able to go through what you need to go through, then like not saying everybody can become Mr. Olympia, but anybody can become a fucking good bodybuilder. It's not hard. It's one of the most fucking mentally challenging sports that there probably is. But see, at the end of the day, like if you want to become a good bodybuilder, you just need to be willing to do what a bodybuilder needs to do, and that's eat your meals, fucking go to the gym, go home, eat more meals, recover, sleep. That's all you need to fucking focus on. So I think there's just too much nowadays that I still see, and it's not even to do with like the old school and the new school stuff, but I just see too much stuff on people wanting to. People try and overcomplicate it, and then end
Yeah.
up stressing themselves out more, and then don't want to do what they need to do because they don't feel as if they need to, and then they stress themselves out more, and then they end up just hating everything. Whereas, like, if you just keep it simple and maybe look back a few years and see what the people who are at the very top right now are doing and have done, that's what it'll come down to. That's the way I've always seen it, and that's the way I think I will always see it. And even looking at like the top of the game right now at the Olympia level, they're all still doing the same shit. Not one person
Yeah.
at the very top have I seen is trying to overcomplicate anything, even try like I think it's got the pressure on social media presence and that as well. Like I seen a post from Samson. I think he posted it either last night or today, and it was literally just like 3 training clips, the worst angles ever. The quality of the videos were horrendous. Even on his full days that he posts on YouTube, it's like the most basic meals. He goes to the gym, he trains, he doesn't care what he looks like, doesn't care what other people think of what he's doing, and it's like he feels no pressure because
Yeah.
he's just keeping it simple.
Mhm. I would say probably like Samson has some of the worst training videos I've ever seen ever. Um, but also I wouldn't try and
And he's
replicate.
Mr. Olympia.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely haven't watched one of Samson's videos and been like, yeah. I've been like, oh, I'm glad that he can do that and grow because I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, we've said this phrase a million times before. I mean, bodybuilding isn't complicated. It is very simple. It's just not easy.
Yeah.
And I think that the eating part is where most fall short. It's just like it is. And again, when you're saying you don't have to change stuff and whatever, like it is tough. Like because I know we all coach. Obviously, you guys do a lot more clients than I do because I'm not a full-time coach or whatever you want to call it. It's like when someone checks in and things are going well, sometimes you just feel like you want to tell them something like because you know that they want you to, but like just okay, that was a good week. Do it again. I'm sure you get it because you got a ton of clients, Chris. And like you say, just do that week again. Or if they cock up that week and they tell you, oh, I missed some meals over, well, do that week you were supposed to do
Yeah.
last week. Like it isn't complicated.
Yeah.
Yes, there is little variables here and there, whatever. But yeah, it's like
I mean, I guess
change your potato for some rice just to fucking feel like you're gonna do something.
I guess I end up if someone's like messed up a week, I'll be like, is there anything you can think of that I can do to make it more likely that you'll be able to do it? You know, like, or is it just a like, there's no point in me changing it because you changed it. it's been changed. And so you doing what you're supposed to do is then a change. And I guess that's where things kind of unravel. If they can't think of a way of you making it easier, even after suggestions, and they keep fucking the week up, then you do need to have that conversation about like coaching probably isn't for you because we're gathering zero data. So I've got nothing to work on. It's usually the people that aren't writing anything in their check-ins as well. It's like, I've got nothing to feed back on, really. Like, and then it goes back to amps, like, you know, you want to be a bodybuilder. Well, why don't you just try and eat this, you know, set meal plan with no cheats for a month and train 4 days a week for a month? And that's probably a good starting point for, are you ready to even be coached? Because if you can't do that, you're probably not there.
Have you guys ever said to somebody, right, I don't want to, I've coached for like, I don't know, I have to work. I don't know. It's either 8, 9, 10 years or whatever. I'll have to go back when I put my first video on YouTube with this horrendous, like, hey, coaching available. It was a fucking terrible video. But I think I've only had it happen twice where I've had to say, listen, mate, like, this ain't working out. I know you're not kind of sticking to things. And when we've kind of parted ways, I've said, yeah, you're right. I wasn't like doing this, that, whatever. So I'll refuse to just keep taking somebody's money if I know they're not kind of cut out for the coaching type of thing, if you like, which unfortunately out there is a lot of people.
Yeah, it might not
say, hey, thumbs up, all good, give me 200 quid next week.
It might not be forever. Like maybe they need to just go and work on what they're doing and then come back maybe and you know, or go to someone else. Some people just are like you're not gelling. You know, and that doesn't have to be like a person.
Yeah, I get that one as well.
You know, maybe they need
I've had that once. I've had that once with a quite advanced guy. I sent over his diet and he changed about 10 things. So okay, that's fine, you know, if this is what you want to do. Then the next week he kept changing things. And I just said, listen, if you want to keep changing things, why don't you just kind of do it yourself? Like, I'm not trying to say that I know everything, all this type of thing, but I've gave you this and you haven't even given it like a week to like give it a chance type of thing. So like, are you actually coachable type of thing? Yeah, it is a weird one, isn't it?
Do you find like at the top, because you hear about like James, like with his coaches and stuff, is that the hold that the coaches have at the higher level are actually a lot looser? Or am I reading into that a little bit more than?
I think what I think what you see is the coaches at the highest of levels, as in your coaches that are like coaching your big IFBB pros who are going to all the pro shows and like the Olympia. I think you often, from what you see anyway, they provide the least. Like they don't have a big massive coaching spreadsheet and like they're just looking for how you're feeling and if you're following the diet protocol that they've sent through and the supplementation protocol that they've sent through. I think that's what you tend to find is like it's just literally a few messages back and forth, but it's because they know how to deal with maybe some situations that may come up or adjustments that need to be made from a supplementation standpoint that they can make they make that work more than ever. But it's like from what I've seen in like big IFBB pros who are competing at the top level, check in and like some of the responses they get back could like be like 3-4 words and that's literally it. It's like boom into the like onto the next and that's it. But I definitely think there is to a certain degree an element nowadays in coaching where unless you're providing your clients with a crazy looking spreadsheet with 100 questions for them to answer every single week and something that just looks extremely flashy, that all of a sudden means that you're not providing a good service. And I think
on the back of that one, Chris, I've actually over the last 3, 4, 5 years maybe, I've seen some emails from Chris Aceto, I've seen some emails from Harry Rambo actually, and Chad Nichols, which was diet, whatever. So basic, no spreadsheet, no charts. At one point, I did, maybe it was about 3 years ago, I felt like I kind of wasn't doing enough because basically what you get from me is a meal plan, a training plan, recommended health supplements. If you're doing some other stuff, some recommendations on there. I did go to the PDFs and all that kind of stuff and just more time consuming, and you could probably give your clients a little bit more time by just giving them the basic stuff. And to be honest, I asked every single one of them at the time and nobody cared. They just said, listen, all I want is the meals, whatever, give me this, give me that. I know Dan likes his charts because he's a little bit OCD. So if I send Dan something, he sends me a chart back. with some cool graphics on and stuff. But again, everybody's got their own angle, haven't they? So
Of course.
I think like it's like teaching. You end up spending 90% of your work on 10% of the learners, and it's usually the people that aren't doing it, or like, do you know what I mean? Like the people that are getting on with it, you know, the changes are going to do what they're supposed to, and you've got the arsenal of some stuff. You know, like you said, you're not necessarily paying to do changes. You're paying for someone that if something goes wrong, they know how to maneuver, and that's obviously really important. But just because they don't need to maneuver, like that's a good thing. But you know that should something come up, then you've got it. Sorry, my dog's downing a pint of water. If you can hear that.
which one, Ron or Abe?
Yeah, Abe.
Yeah, that's probably why.
Yeah, it's
What I will usually do is if someone feels like they haven't changed much or they kind of like the meals and all that kind of stuff, whatever, I'll send them a picture from them like 3, 4, 5 months ago and say, listen, this is where you were, this is where you are now. I'm like, oh shit, like, yeah, I do. I have made some progress or I have done this, whatever. Because you can get a little stuck in that rabbit wheel, like, oh, I ain't really getting anywhere. Because it's not a fast process, is it?
No, I think if your
so-
lifestyle, like as well, people do need to be stimulated with a new training plan and stuff more often, you know. And if that makes them enjoy it, because they don't, you know, maybe they enjoy it a bit, but not as someone. I love doing the same shit, you know, and progressing the same shit, you know. But a lot of people like don't, and enjoyment is important, especially for someone lifestyle. They don't have as much of an excessive goal. Oh,
You won't take the dog down.
I think in like phases like an off season as well, where visually you see a lot less happen on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
I think it's more important to be able to always remember to look back and things like that on that, because I often find that I'll have more people stick when it's a consistent diet for a long period of time because you see a lot more happen. But you often tend to find that either people can't stick consistently to a push up or just see a lot less happen and allow it to kind of not be something that they just want to continue, because it's like visually you see less happen and not a lot of people can focus too much on just getting stronger and performing better, because ultimately in the off season, aside from making sure that you're getting enough rest, that's the main priority on it. It's like that's how you are going to get better.
And yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's the
you're
thing
right.
where, sorry, Dan, just that quickly when you said that, Chris, that's where I think a lot of people kind of spin the wheels because they can't dedicate themselves to a full off season, and so they put a little bit of body fat on, and they're like, shit, I need to get a bit leaner. So they come down again, and they're like, oh, I need to get a bit bigger, and they're kind of just constantly spinning their wheels in that back and forth. I don't know if you've had that with guys who are like, yeah, I'm getting a bit. You're not that fat. You really need to eat some food, and I think that's where you keep an eye on things, isn't it? I'll always ask people about the performance in the gym, and maybe not everybody wants to log everything, but I'll always ask them to log at least one basic like compound lift and make sure they're progressing on that type of thing. But yeah, a lot of people spin the wheels, don't they, between getting leaner, getting bigger, getting leaner, getting bigger, and they just end up nowhere, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Sorry, Dan.
that's it. When I'm being a coach is part of removing that reactive feeling that people have on their own, where like they push just for a bit and just and then you're right, and you see them in the gym next year and the year after, and they're just the fucking same.
Yeah,
You know, even if they're
Yeah.
working hard, they're just not doing it for long enough. You know, if you go straight from a bulk into a cut, that new muscle needs to sit for a second. You know, you'll chow through that new shit in a millisecond. Like, especially with women, because obviously women, there's a lot more pressure on them to be like lean and stuff like that. I feel like they struggle with embracing a bit of fluff, especially if they've been lean. They're like, I want to be that. When actually the body fat on a female at a healthy range is much higher than a male. But once they felt lean and feel good like about it, they feel very bad about putting it on. It's just ingrained in women that the scale should never go up. It's, you know, it's generation of, you know.
Here's one thing, guys, and this is what we spoke about earlier, Dan, because we all do a little bit of coaching and stuff. I don't want this to turn into the coaching podcast, but peak week kind of that's what I kind of we didn't used to call it peak week. It was called I don't know. I don't know when the term peak week came around. I think it was kind of on Facebook it appeared. So mine and yours is probably going to be quite similar, Dan, the whole peak week thing. I don't know, because obviously we do some stuff together. So how would you approach a client? And again, I don't know if there's any different, this is any different for natural guys, because, you know, obviously enhanced guys might use certain things that make them retain water, all that kind of stuff. We might take something out that causes a little bit of water retention in some people. How would you approach like a peak week, Chris, for a, you know, everybody's kind of got like a 80-90% of, I'm not saying it's the same for everybody. Everybody has a kind of a rough template and it gets adjusted, isn't it, for like different people? I mean, how would you kind of approach it, even for yourself, Chris?
Yeah, so like again, depending on their approach to the diet of the prep itself. So I've had people work on like just a one-off meal plan basis where I'm obviously taking over their food choices and I'm prioritizing what I want to prioritize. But then I've also had people work on them working over their own food choices and it not becoming if it fits your macros because they do format their own meal plan, but just with how different foods respond and how we see different foods respond, especially when it comes to things like depletions and carb ups and things like that. I would base the changes off of something like that. But most of the time, I like to go into a depletion at the beginning of a peak week and then a gradual taper of carbs up the way with water as well. I wouldn't completely like just pull water or anything like that. Like I would never do anything crazy like that. But
Excuse me, sorry.
to a certain degree, I would like taper the carbohydrates, maybe back down if I needed to. So not necessarily try and spill or anything like that, but just make sure I could push to a certain degree to then know that either we can either stop there and that's enough and collect enough data from that, or pull back ever so slightly to maybe just like a normal day before the show. But again, sometimes I could do, depending on how somebody's body has responded in the prep alone. So again, could be down to their lifestyle. They could have all the hours under the sun to be as recovered and as fresh as possible, or I could have somebody who is just super fatigued because of what they do. Like that's what we also have to kind of take on board to do with that. I could even just do like a linear carb up throughout the full week. There's a few different ones that I would do, but I would mostly from like past preps stick to relatively harder depletes at the beginning and then move in with way more food as in carbohydrates and water from there and then slightly taper it off by the back end.
So you would like taper it up, then taper it back off at the end,
Yeah.
yeah?
Yeah.
So deplete, taper up. That's kind of like the old school method, if you like. Dan, you want to chime in on that one?
Yes, sorry, hold on, let me shut the
After
door.
you've killed your dogs.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's similar. I'll usually, if someone's like in, like by the point that they're pretty close, I'll probably put some like test out some higher days and like record their weight and their look like of how fast they chomp through that. And if they're like we're
Yeah.
doing high carb days and like their weight's dropping or something, they're fucked already. So we need to like probably need to think about how to make them less fucked at that point. But in terms of, so I've usually got some data on like how they've done it, like Amph, you do with me. We do higher days and look at the days afterwards and think about whether that's enough. Do you spill at that point? And then yeah, I would probably deplete, and then I would do a carb up like Amph has done with me. That gives us some time after it to adjust. Because I mean, before what was quite common is you get really lean, do depletion, you carb up the day before or the night before, which actually was
I
really
used to do
great.
that.
It was really great when it worked, but if it didn't work, you were fucked. Like you could just wake up spilled and you're like, well, see you.
Yeah, it either goes two ways, doesn't it? In the old school way was, yeah, you see, the last minute, either you were scared to eat and you kind of didn't fill out enough, or you just lost your shit and you ate too much and you turned up all watery and smooth and you didn't have time to correct it, didn't you, type of thing.
Yeah,
So
so
yeah, I
it's kind
mean,
of like you where you'll like go up. Depending on who it is, I might do like the total opposite. We'll go like the straight out of the gates high as fuck and then actually spill on purpose to then drain. I find people generally, and I don't know, actually, I know I do this with nutty guys as well. People usually look better just as they start to flatten out.
Yeah.
So like full doesn't usually look that good. You're gonna, you know, gonna cut some fullness and trade it with some sharpness, which I guess is kind of what you're aiming for as well, just in a slightly more kind of extreme approach. I think the things that I fucked up the most early was cutting sodium completely.
Yeah.
Like,
I used to do that when I was younger. We just discussed that when we were talking on the last
yeah.
podcast with Connor about distilled water and stuff.
Yeah. So like, and sometimes it worked all right because you get the sodium and the fluid in with enough time for it to kind of go sunk. Like,
We used to not even brush our teeth, so everybody had
yeah,
smelly breath on
lemon
the
juice.
contest day. And you would put like tape over your mouth when you went in the shower so you didn't get the water in your mouth. It's fucking crazy. I mean, what you guys have just said there, I mean, makes complete sense. But if somebody wants something a little bit more like specific to understand like how many days or whatever, let me work this out, because bodybuilding contests always used to be on a Saturday, but they're usually on a Sunday now, aren't they? So let's say your contest is on a Saturday. Let me get this right here. I'm terrible with them if I don't write something down. So if you're lean enough and everything's going fine, probably let me get this right here. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Yeah, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I would have you very low carbs.
Mhm.
And I would have you the Saturday, I would have you do your last kind of leg depletion workout, just some high reps and stuff. That's your final leg session. Sunday, I would do half like push or pull. Sunday, then Monday, the other half of the upper body. So that flattens you right off if you're not already flat. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, like Dan said, I am a big fan of like fill and spill, because you've got some space to kind of clean it up. So that was Saturday, Sunday, Monday, wasn't it? Yeah. Tuesday, Wednesday, I would carb load you real heavy. Wednesday, yeah, hold on, I'm losing track of days here. Yeah, sorry. Hold on. Sunday, Monday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday, carb load real heavy. Thursday, I would generally go zero, because you're probably going to put quite a bit of water weight on if things have gone correctly, if we have spilled over. Friday is like your gauge day. If you're starting to flatten off quite a bit, we'll keep the carbs a little bit higher. If you're still a little bit watery, we'll keep them lower. It depends on the person. I used to have one guy, Lee. I won't say, it's not Lee, because it's another Lee, just in case he doesn't want his name mentioned. He could literally have like 6,000 grams of carbs spill up full of like 15 pounds of water, and one day zero, he would be bone dry back to front and literally starting to flatten off. Whereas if someone like me, I would generally do the 2 high days of the 1-0. I would look okay from the front, but maybe still a little bit watery from the back type of thing. So generally, I'll always leave like 2 days. So one of them is generally a 0. The next day, the day before the show, you can kind of play around a little bit. If you start to flatten off as the day goes on, you can put a little bit in there. So you have got a little bit of room. I mean, where are you guys with the whole final leg session cardio? I usually drop the leg session about a week out.
Yeah.
Cardio gets kind of dropped back. To be honest, I would kind of drop it out completely, because you're not going to lose any more body fat, but just kind of the head games, I still maybe keep like 20-minute walk in there somewhere. Are you a big fan of like cutting the cardio, Chris? Because I made the mistake in the past of like, let's get a little bit tired. I'll do like 2 hours of treadmill the day before the contest. You just make yourself tired and weak, and you're gonna look shit on you on stage, and you're gonna have no leg separation either.
I would definitely pull legs like at least a week before. And then cardio taper off pretty much 5-6 days before the show. And I've even had people where they've been ready and been in such a good spot that like even that cardio has been tapered out even like a couple of weeks before, just because it's like the job's pretty much done. Now it's just a case of keeping the look as fresh as possible and going into peak week as fresh as we possibly can. Like by that point anyway, like the work should have been done. Like you should be ready going into a peak week. Like it shouldn't be about dieting down even more and having to, like, you're ultimately trying to create a better look, the look you want. So depending on whether have people moving into peak week with a bit of cardio, it's probably going to be tapered off completely by like 5 days out, and maybe just like a walk in. Just if they like, some people just like it for their mental sanity, just to keep active ever so slightly. I remember when I got my first peak protocol through and got told it was like 4 days out, and it was like, I think that was the highest day of food going in, and it was just like there was so much carbs going in, like so much fluid going in, and I just remember I got told to like just sit still, just sit, eat, and do nothing else, and like my head like just went because I was like, I'm going to wake up tomorrow, I'm going to be like,
You think you're going to get fatter, don't you? You're like, oh shit, I'm going to get fat. That's why I keep it in, just to kind of keep people's heads straight.
yeah,
But what about the training, Chris? Like I say, the final leg session is usually just a light, high volume on the week out, and then
yeah,
generally as people are carving up, I'll have them do like a upper body circuit, just super light as well.
yeah.
You're not gaining any muscle. If you're training heavy, you're just going to fatigue yourself. I hate using that word fatigue, but it's true. You're not going to attain
Yeah.
anything by training heavy like 3 years out, are you?
That's it. To be fair, like I've seen the majority of my people as well, where I've just got them resting like 2 or 3 days before the show, not even got them doing any sort of pump sessions or anything like that. And just taking everything off their body, just giving them a chance to just chill and get the last couple of days out of the way. I've had a couple of people before do um the odd upper body pump rounds, but to be honest, just posing and chilling the few days before the show is really where I keep the majority of my um guys and girls at.
Yeah, I'm not saying that for whatever reason I've had to change it and bite down to the bullet, especially if there's like a regional, you're like, for whatever reason, like, also if people are the first time, it's like you can feel like you're about to lose them. And you're like, okay, well, we might have to like just cruise you're playing a strange game because you can tell when someone's breaking, like actually breaking, and you're like, well, do I let them break and leave? Or like, do we push like a little bit longer and treat this one as, a road into the next show? Or like, there are a million different versions where this doesn't happen like perfectly, but obviously the framework that we've talked about would be the perfect version. The other thing I would ask, what about actual day? Because on the day, the one thing that I have, whether you're there or not, obviously they're backstage often, sometimes you can see around, but the times are never perfect. There's a thing. They usually lose their fucking shit. So although it's a good idea, oh, send me photos or I'll come and look at you in the day and like this and that and that. I usually try and get everything done and just eat light for like comfort on the actual day because a lot of people just want to be left the fuck alone on the show day because they're like locked in. Maybe they haven't been on stage or they're not, like usually try and play it. Say, I personally like to eat light on show day. I don't like the idea of having to like try and fill up like before show day. Don't get me wrong, I've woken up in the morning and eaten a couple of McDonald's or whatever. It's worked all right for me. But most people on show day do start to fade, and if you're hassling them up, it makes them worse. I know I've seen some people backstage like looking at people when they've got to be on stage in 10 minutes and been like 10 grams of jam, and all that sort of stuff.
I
I
never
just
understood that one because I mean I did it in the past, don't get me wrong, but like if you're shoveling like donuts and shit in like 30 minutes before you go on stage, it's not going to turn into glycogen anyway. It's just going to sit in your stomach and you just have a bloated stomach or something. Yeah, maybe a banana or a handful of jellies or something just to keep your blood sugar stable and a little bit of sugar in your system. But yeah, I used to do that, like shoveling food in backstage. It's going to do jack shit. I try and have my guys do like the last maybe like 2 hours before stage.
Yeah.
And depending on the morning of the contest, depending how much Lasix, Demodex, and Aldactone and Diazide we've used, obviously that is the joke. If we are discussing these type of things, it's for educational purposes only. Now, Dan, you know the deal. We only generally do like even the guy of your size is like a half a Diazide. That's about it. So like, I like to get my guys up pretty early, which you kind of up early anyway. You need to sleep the night before a contest. The amount of time I might set my alarm for like 5 in the morning, have a look at somebody in the morning. But if they wake up a little bit flat and a little bit washed out, if they have used some diuretics, you've got time to correct it type of thing because you've got like say if it's 5, 6 in the morning, there's no point trying to correct it 2 hours before stage or you're fucked basically. But you know the deal, Dan. It's usually like a biggish meal early on that actually has some time to do something. And like you just said, just graze on the way to the stage. Sometimes not even put any point in, to be honest. Just
I
some
even
rice cakes and jam or whatever.
I've found that sometimes I wake up with them and they don't wake up and I've got like work or something. And so I've with quite a lot of people that are maybe less experienced, I just set their breakfast the night before.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
just because you don't want to get out of bed, Dan. Tell the
something
truth.
mate, I've set my alarm to get up and then been like waiting and waiting and like and like I'm just like I've got like
The worst thing is when you ask for some pictures and they're in some like obscure hotel room where there's
oh
fucking
mate,
no light. And I'm like, what the fuck? I can't. I'm like, please just go outside or something and take me some pictures.
I've had some amazing ones of like someone stood like about 30 meters away from the camera and stuff, like or like just in the
Yeah.
pitch dark or like in a bathroom with the lights off. And I'm like, and you know the time's passed for them to do it again. So you're like asking again for them is like you can feel they're like losing it. You're like,
But it's almost the
yeah,
fucking
looking
anabolic
great.
Premiere in lighting that just makes the look so much worse.
It either
But
makes
it's
you look
like
awesome or you just fucking look terrible.
there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
about water then, guys? What about you just said there, Chris, you don't really cut anybody's water. I'm not a big fan of cutting it completely. I've done it myself in the past and it's it
I would just
generally doesn't go right very well,
yeah,
unfortunately.
I would just naturally taper it down. But again, for 99% of all of my like guys and girls on prep, they've been drinking plenty all the way up to bed the night before the show. And on the show day itself, I always have them drinking. Not lots. Like we're talking like on show day, like way down in the milliliters. But
Yeah.
I would never just totally take it out. And anybody that I've had come to me tell me that in the past they've like completely had it taken out, and I've seen what the outcome has been from. I think that's one of the biggest things as well. It's like all the data within a peak week that has to be chopped and changed and gone by, like changes have to be made every single day, which to a certain extent, yeah, it's going to have to happen. But I think when it becomes just so complicated to the part of where there's a million things to do and then everything has to be reversed and then everything has to be changed, the person who's competing ends up just getting to a point where they become so flustered at everything that needs to be done and chopped and changed that it just fucks the whole look in itself. Like there's especially if they're ready, there's nothing worse than seeing somebody ready go into a peak week, and because there's that much stuff that's getting chopped and changed around and chopped up, and then the look becomes worse, then it's like they would have been as well just not having such a thing as a peak week and just fucking
Yeah.
competing the
Yeah.
week before.
Yeah, the
To
one
be
way that
honest, sorry, Dan, go on, mate.
the one way that you can fuck it up on the day is stressing out.
Yeah.
When I've seen someone and they're like ready, and what I've seen,
That's me
what
pointing at you down the
yeah,
street.
I can see your point now. But some people I've seen like they're ready. All the photos I've been sent are like sick, and
Yeah.
then you see like the stage shots, and you're like, fuck. And there's only one way that's happened is because you've just got yourself into a stew. So sometimes when I can feel that happening, I just like try and just like do either nothing or like something absolutely basic because I'd rather not try and play for 1%
Yeah.
and not have them stress out and fuck 5% out the bottom. And I
Yeah,
know
Dan,
that,
I've said this loads of times where, like, let's say in the old days where, because usually it's like kind of judging and finals in the same kind of thing. We used to do like judging in the morning and then finals at night type of thing, the old qualifiers and stuff. And everybody tended to come back looking better on the night. Yeah, maybe sometimes because they've gone home and had a burger and fries or whatever, but I do think a lot of it's because the pressure's just off.
Yeah.
You kind of know where you're going to place and you just kind of, the cortisol just kind of comes down a little bit and all of a sudden you just start popping a little bit. But what was I going to mention? Yeah, when you said about everything looks complicated, because sometimes when I type things out in an email, it does look very complicated. So I always put at the bottom, like, listen, like, basically all we're doing is pulling you down, filling you up till you spill over, mopping up the water. I actually do usually increase the water a little bit at the back end, and maybe just again I won't cut it out, but I'll shut it off at midnight or whatever,
Yeah.
And like on the day of the show, when you just said about reducing it, I'll just have somebody have like a mouthful of water every hour, or like, it don't have to be all technical and like fucking weighing your grams. Usually I'll have some sodium on the first meal, and the rest of the meals there isn't anything until we go, like before we go on stage. But generally just a mouthful of water. That's it, just to help your digestion a little bit. But yeah, I've never seen anybody kind of do the zero water approach and it kind of work out well, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna say that
I'm sure there is some guys out there, but it is rare.
I have done like absolutely capped it off, no water for like 18 hours. And maybe it was a combination thing, but I did come in the sharpest ever when I did that.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it was because of that. I remember doing it at the Welsh and that was sharp as fuck. I did pay for it a little bit in fullness.
Yeah, it kind of goes on what your physique suits the best. I don't know if I ever told you this story, Dan. Rest in peace, John Meadows and Matt Porter. I'm sure you know those guys. Chris might not know Matt Porter. But the weekend of the UKBF finals, if you remember, it was over 2 days. And I've never done a contest over 2 days. So I remember coming off stage on the first day, and Ian Chambers, one of the judges, said, "Listen, man, you're coming a little bit tighter. You'll get the nod for this type of thing." And I was like, "Fuck, like, I'm already feeling pretty like dehydrated and kind of crampy type of thing. Do I go home now, rehydrate, and then kind of do the whole process again of a little bit more diazide, blah, 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 and pull it back down again? Or do I just kind of stay in this state and to see how it goes type of thing?" So I do remember, just as a comparison, how different coaches, even good coaches, have different kind of approaches. So I remember messaging John Meadows at the time. Great guy, always used to get back with questions and stuff. I used to chat to John quite regularly on Facebook. I can't remember which way around it was. I do apologise. So there was John and Matt Porter. One of the guys, was either John or Matt, said, "Listen, I would rehydrate, then cut the water again later on in the evening, have some more diazide." The other one said, "I would just stay dehydrated, have some sips on some water, and see it through," type of thing. Ultimately, it is down to your choice type of thing. But yeah, just to go to show that there's two very well-known, excellent coaches who've had two totally different approaches. I ended up just not drinking any water. Obviously got the nod, but the aftermath wasn't too great, unfortunately. I started cramping up my hands and everything, and when I was in the shower and stuff, started to get some diarrhea and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, just goes to show, when you said there, Dan, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and different coaches do have some different approaches. It's not right or wrong. I guess it depends on the athlete, I guess.
The one thing I will say about peak week that I've heard a lot of people was like, "Oh, if your coach has sent you a peak week, plan and protocol, like he's shit and all this." Like, I think you need to send your client a guide so they know roughly what to expect, what's happening. Obviously, it's going to evolve, but you've got to think.
Yeah, that's your job as a coach, isn't it? To make the changes as you go. You're going to have to give somebody something. Christ, they're going to have to go out and buy the food they need, whatever they need. It settles their head a little bit, and then you kind of adjust it day by day according to how it's going type of thing.
You've done a bit of research on how it might look. You've done some higher carb days, at what position that looks best. You kind of owe it to them to go, "This is roughly what it will be like." And I write it all the way, including the day. And the day I've had quite a few people just lose their shit and just not pick their phone up for the whole day. And at least they have then something. Like, they can't really fuck up. Otherwise, they'll be like, "Well, the guy next to me ate 9 donuts." I did have that one time. Someone turned their phone off and they were like, "Well, this guy ate half a pizza." And I was like, "But that guy is 18 stone black guy and you are not any of those things." And he ate it and he just fucked it into and I thought from then I would give, like, if they have an absolute meltdown, at least a breakdown of "don't eat a pizza," sort of thing. So I think, like, you should map it out, and I certainly need a plan to know roughly what's going on. And I've had sometimes the plans come through and it's just worked. The guess has been perfect and I just went through the plan. It didn't need adapting. It didn't mean that it wasn't looked at or considered changing. And then I've had other times where it's completely changed. But I think you need that plan. Like you said, you're not just dealing with a robot, and stress is the number one way that you'll fuck that up. And people do just melt, especially first timers. They fucking melt because they can't believe how hard it is. Like, I don't know where you've had it, Khifie, if someone's like message you like genuinely worried that they're dying. Like, but they're like, it can't be this hard. You can't have done this like 10 times. There's no way that it's this. I haven't got any energy. And you're like, yeah, I can't really sleep. Yeah, it's not ideal, but at some point that is like, but everyone's talking about sleep and recovery. And I was like, yeah, I mean, in an ideal situation, that would still be great, but we are here now.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
2 days out, you ain't sleeping, man.
I'm sorry, but I don't, yeah, obviously sleep is really important, but when shit is really low and you're really driving for that last bit, sleep is shit. Like, I don't know anyone that's like, oh, I sleep like a log all the way through when they're like, under 7% body fat. Your body is releasing.
That's one of the reasons why, obviously, years ago, the whole chemical warfare during Yates thing was have some dry white wine before bed. It had to be dry white wine. If there's any other wine, it didn't work. But yeah, obviously it does have a slight diuretic effect, but it is just to try and help somebody relax and get to sleep a little bit the night before the show as well. Because you're stressed before. I don't care how calm you are, and I don't care what level you're at. You're going to get stressed the day before a contest.
Yeah.
Have any of you guys ever shitloaded anybody as a technical term?
No, I'm not brave enough.
As in like junk food.
I'm not brave enough.
I've done it a couple of times for guys who try and who have a hard time staying full, probably because they've got massive amounts of nervous energy. Again, that guy I've spoken about, Lee, he doesn't compete anymore. I actually did it recently with a guy at the NAB England. He did like a qualifier. He's seen the guy Jay Dan.
Yeah.
And I honestly can't remember what it was now. It was like a pizzas or burgers. It was burgers before bed. That's the only time I will generally cut the fluid off if they have some shitty food type of thing. And yeah, he looked full as a fucking house, man. So it does work, but I think you do have to be super lean as well. I think it's when guys try and eat some shit and they're still holding a little bit of body fat around their lower back and stuff, and those pockets just suck that water in, man. And you just end up like shit, unfortunately.
I don't.
You can get away with a lot when you're super lean, can't you? To be fair.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, like the evening show, or like when someone's like, "Oh, I look so much better," like since I ate loads of shit, like the day after, like often like they don't. But
yeah,
again,
you look better in the gym lights. You wouldn't look better if you got up on stage because you'd see that water on your lower back or your back double bicep definitely wouldn't be as detailed as you did in the gym under the nice shiny fucking lights in there. So yeah,
100%.
Yes. Well, I mean the main thing is coming in full. I still think depletion is a good thing to do. Like, I mean, the chances are you're pretty close to depletion at that point anyway.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to be
unless you're Chris and you're on like 7,000 grams of carbs still.
Yeah.
What's the lowest you've took your carbs down, Chris? Come on, tell me. I'll just delete you off the podcast.
I actually I actually don't know what the lowest would have been. I think, like, to be honest, by the back end of prep, there was probably only one meal that had no carbs in it. And that was like my last meal of the day. And I think that was even just through like rest days, which like I'm still I get the set plan and I don't put it into my fitness pal to see how many carbohydrates I'm on, but I just know I'm on a good amount because it's like I start off very high food and I get to the back end of prep and I'm most likely still eating, I don't know, 120, 140 grams oats for my breakfast in the morning. So, and throughout the remainder of the day, all potato, but it's like I'm still having carbs in like every single meal, most meals anyway.
Yeah, it just goes to show how different everybody is. I mean, I always remember seeing a video about Sean Roden, another guy, rest in peace, great guy. He visited Max Muscle a couple of times. He was on like 50 grams of carbs a day, like a week out from the Olympia, and that's a big guy.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show like how kind of the varying ends of the spectrum. I remember a friend of mine, Steve Flynn, another competitor. He's like, I'm doing like 20 minutes 3 times a week on the bike, and these fucking carbs are super high. And you got like striated glutes. So again, you get that what you just said there, Dan, about the comparison. Oh, this guy's doing this and this guy's doing that. That isn't you, unfortunately. So some guys can eat 10 donuts and be fine, and some guys just look like fucking shit.
It's the build up, isn't it? It's the setup. It's not just the prep.
Yeah.
Like, are you able to tolerate and utilize like high food in the off season? Like, Are you training hard enough to actually like need it? Are you doing enough? Are you, like, is your metabolism doing it? And I mean, some people that are eating a lot of food aren't processing it. You aren't going to process 100% of the food that you intake. That's just not how life works. And some people's ratios are different. So, but the bottom line is when you're lean, whether you're eating 500 grams of carbs or zero, you will feel the same shit
Yeah.
because it's not what makes you feel shit. Hunger just becomes a thing. Like it's a feeling. It's irrelevant. But when you're lean, your body's sending all sorts of signals that this is not sustainable. So I don't think it matters what you're eating. And once you get to that end of the thing, people are being like, oh, well, I'm only eating this and this person. It's like whatever built us to this position, which obviously isn't ideal, that the food is really low, it's here now. And everything you've done up to this point has led to you having to eat less food. And that's just how it is. And I've done preps on rest day food. Last prep I did, I was having 25 grams of carbs a day, and I was like 18 stone on stage. It's like
Yeah.
it is what it is.
I actually went through some times where I felt worse on more food than like I was performing better on low days of food. I was feeling like more energized on low days of food, and then I would get hit with food and I would go through a high day and everything would just go to shit, and I would just like I just got to the point of that at the back end of my last prep there. I was just like I wasn't looking forward to high days of food and that, just because it was like even like the peak itself, the carb up, like everybody craves that food going in and craves that carb up, but I often tend to find I just feel worse with more food going in. Like it
Yeah.
provides value to my look, but how I feel, oh man, like
Yeah, it's generally from the huge insulin response. That's what makes you like tired and shitty
yeah.
and whatever.
It's
That's generally what happens. You just feel all sleepy and you feel all sluggish and shit. That's another thing. Actually, while we're on the subject about foods, and this is what someone asked me today, actually, and I keep seeing this thing because obviously it's that time where everybody's on a diet. Sorry, guys, I'm not keeping much longer. So I'll ask your guys' opinion on this one. Mine's changed over the years. Something a little bit to do with being diabetic and all that kind of stuff. So when, let's say even like a regular person, let's say it's not a bodybuilder, okay? So 2,000 calories from protein, or if you ate 2,000 calories just from carbohydrate, or if you ate 2,000 calories just from fat, would you still lose body fat at the same kind of, everybody's like, calories a calorie. If you burn enough what you take, blah, 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 like calories in, calories out. I don't believe in that. I'll tell you why I don't believe in it anyways. So what's your guys' opinion on that one? Because it's a very popular topic right now.
I believe in calories in versus calories out for somebody who's very overweight. But
Yeah.
for somebody who wants to drop body fat, there's such a difference between dropping body fat and dropping body weight. Somebody who wants to drop body fat most definitely needs to be looking down the lines of the adequate amount of protein, carbohydrates, and fats. Obviously, they're kind of gonna be in their own little like space, but I definitely don't believe in the part of if you were to eat 2,000 calories of protein, 2,000 calories fats, 2,000 calories carbohydrates, would there be a similar outcome? Like, no chance. It could be the totally the same as like if you were going to have like next to no protein, but you were going to have like enough carbohydrates, enough fats. Like, there's going to be a different response for sure throughout that. And then it's like, then it's also the same as if it's calories in, calories out. It's like, right, you could eat 2,000 calories of nutritionally dense food, or you can eat 2,000 calories of fucking selection boxes you got for Christmas. There's going to be a total different response to that. But from like what I was saying in terms of somebody who is like really overweight and needs to lose weight, like actual poundage, then yeah, I can see to a certain degree it'll become calories in versus calories out, because they ultimately need to move more than what they are potentially consuming. And majority of the time, they're just consuming too much shit. And they could change that up and instantly like see a big response in their sensitivity levels.
I think some people,
Sorry, Chris, you're wrong because it didn't say on Instagram. It doesn't say that. The post I'm seeing, it says doesn't matter what food you eat, as long as you are in X amount of deficit,
Yeah.
you will lose the same amount of body fat or the same amount of weight.
I mean,
and
it's
it's only 199 a month as well to sign up. So
I'm quitting Instagram now.
it's just the thing is that I mean, if someone's incredibly overweight, they've done some stuff that they haven't even realized they've done that's got them there. So even just having a set meal plan of just macros and actually fuck it, eat whatever you want is going to be so much better than what they're doing, which is, oh, well, I only had a couple of biscuits. Yeah, but you did that 6 times today. Like it's, or even just have diet drinks instead of not diet. You can get someone who's incredibly overweight to just stop drinking fizzy drinks and they'll drop £5 a week. Like, so when you
I
come
saw
in,
somebody yesterday sorry, the day before when I was out shopping with my daughter, drinking like I hate full fat Coke. There's no fat, full sugar Coke. And I think, why the fuck would anybody even drink that in this day and age? Like, why the hell would anybody drink I don't know, only 50 grams of fucking sugar in a can of Coke? Why would you drink that even if you weren't even trying to lose it? Like, what the fuck? Like, chuck it in the bin. I'm not trying to sound like Eddie Aboo, but we all know that it's just pure fucking shit.
Yeah.
Does it taste that much better? I don't know. I actually don't like the taste of regular Coke anyway.
I quite like a full fat Coke, but that used to be definitely. I think that's just like a hangover thing that I used to have when I was when I was younger. After going and doing a skinful, full fat Coke and a fucking Lambert, and I was ready to rock.
God.
Yeah, I'd do full fat Coke and a Lambert, and I could go and do my school day.
A Lambert.
I
No, I'm just saying, like, honestly, Instagram is flooded with it now. And the reason I'm kind of bringing it up is because even as a bodybuilder, let's say, the whole 500 calorie deficit and you lose like 3,500 calories and that's a pound of fat in a bomb calorimeter, all that kind of shit. We know that's bullshit anyway, but technically the old thing was if you went like 500 deficit a day, you would lose a pound of fat by the end of the week. So how comes when you're done your diet and you lose like 2 pounds on a diet by the end of the week, and we do like a 2,000 gram carbo on a weekend, maybe even did 2 days, technically you've put all that back, haven't you? So you shouldn't actually lose any weight the next week. But it always happens, doesn't it? Obviously if you had a certain level of leanness. But the whole thing I was going with, because I didn't have an argument, I had a discussion with a guy.
You engaged.
Yeah. No, it wasn't a discussion. He wasn't being a dick, but he was just kind of asking a question. So if I eat, for example, as a diabetic, and I'm not trying to sound like Eddie Aboo here again, but it is massively depend on the insulin response. So as a diabetic, let's say if everything's fine and my ratios are good and everything's kind of tickety-boo and my blood sugar's playing the game, if I had 100 grams of carbs, I need to take 100% insulin for that. So 1 IU per 10, so that's 10 IUs of insulin. Yeah? If I eat 100 grams of protein, it's not as much because your body does not need as much insulin to absorb protein. So I would only maybe need like 4 IUs of insulin for that. Can you see where the difference is if I was doing that multiple times a day? If I was doing, because I think it was from Colette Nelson. Like, I'm not sure there's any studies on this, but I'm not going to get all scientific. But protein requires about 40-50% insulin. Fat's very low, like 5-10%. That's how ketogenic diet works really well. That's how Atkins used to work. Where imagine how much calories a guy on Atkins was eating, but like they're still losing weight. It's because they've got such low circulating levels of insulin. So I don't believe total bullshit. If I was eating like 2,000 grams or 2,000 calories of carbs a day compared to 2,000 calories of protein, I would definitely, if I was in a deficit, lose more weight on the protein. Because we all know protein is more thermic as well, isn't it? So it takes calories to kind of process it. Just your overall insulin level is just so much lower. So sorry for the rant, but yeah, this whole bullshit about 2,000 calories is 2,000 calories. It's fucking bullshit.
Well, then also you put resistance training in and what the protein's used for, which can be stored as fat, 100%. But if you're actually training to use the protein for protein synthesis, then some of that is taken for a good use.
Yeah.
And okay, carbs, some of it's taken for energy, 100%. But once your energy expenditure is gone and your glycogen stores are full, which doesn't take as much as people fucking think, then it actually doesn't have a place in the system anymore. It has only one outcome.
Yeah, I get it that everybody's trying to find an easier way, but there just isn't an easier way. You've got to eat healthier foods. You can't eat 2,000 calories of shit because it's only 2,000 calories. Yeah. And I hate that if it fits your macro shit. What about your micros? Like you tell me like a chocolate bar, 200 calories of chocolate bar has the same kind of value as 200 calories of
Yeah.
fucking salmon or something. It's
There's,
pissing me off.
there's the other thing, the micros element, like the health benefits of actually
Yeah.
eating food. Like, even if you don't consider that, but like you said, if someone's really fat, like at the beginning, fuck it, like it's gonna do something. There's gonna be a point where they'll have to sort it out, but the trends are so much better just by giving them some restraint. Their weight's gonna fly off
Yeah.
at the beginning. They're gonna get a shock later when you actually have to tell them like what to eat. But I've had people that are severely overweight, and the changes that you have to do initially are nothing really, like because
Yeah.
it's
Just
because
just stuff on the full fat coat and Lamberts.
yeah, just basically like that. Here's the thing for you, Amph, as well, because and it's something that's not talked about as much as the glycemic index, and where that falls apart with it's the combinatory digestion rate of the meal, isn't it? Because brown rice versus like white rice and
Yeah,
brown
yeah. Years
like,
ago, we all fell into the glycemic index. So every bodybuilder was eating like brown rice, sweet potatoes, oatmeal, like everything was brown, full of brown. We had to have wholemeal bread. Everyone was just bummed up, couldn't go to the bathroom. But obviously, we learned that when you're combining the food, like some carbohydrates and protein stuff, like the glycemic index doesn't really matter that much. If you were just eating like some carbs, then some protein, then some fat, weighted separate meals. Which can you remember Leonard Sincere? I'm probably showing my age. Chris won't know who he is. He was a
Never.
bodybuilder back in the day, super peak biceps. Any old schoolers will know who Leonard is. I'm pretty sure he used to do this method where he had like 1 meal of carbohydrate, then 1 meal of protein, and he separate. I don't know why he did it. Maybe it's just personal preference, or maybe he was just trying to sell some kind of bad diet. But yeah, the GI thing's gone out the window because you're combining your foods, aren't you? So
and unless I remember that podcast with, I think it was with John Hodgson, and they were talking, and he would eat his veg as a separate meal, the rice
yeah, it
and
was. I'll have to have a look online and try and
I,
find it. It was definitely
I,
definitely Leonard Sincere.
yeah, so that he could like work within the glycemic index.
Yeah.
Obviously, like if you eat like white rice and you sprinkle olive oil over it, you're slowing that shit down, aren't you?
Yeah,
Really?
the GI just totally changes, doesn't it? It just doesn't
Yeah,
even matter, to be fair.
yeah. But like the Mars bar thing, I think you can trust some people like with macros, like that are going to make good choices. You can trust people with that, you know, general population. Probably not. I just
Yeah.
explained to some. I'm not saying that I don't coach people that do have these. I'm just like eating exactly what you tell you will get you to wherever you want to go the best way and faster and healthier. Then there's macro counting. Well, it's going to be a little bit less, but if you're not an idiot about it, you can get somewhere. And then at calories, it's like I can't guarantee anything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
honestly, it just pisses me off when I see all these things on Instagram. And honestly, I just tell people, I'm not trying to sound like those bodybuilders are all super experts in nutrition, but I just say, go and look at a bodybuilder on contest stage in shape, see how lean they are. They kind of know about what food to eat, and it generally is a balance of like carb, protein, and fat. There's all this bullshit. Like, it's fucking, just sorry for the language, it just pissed me off.
well,
Because people are just getting ripped off, basically.
it's selling stuff. Like look at Weight Watchers. What's the whole thing about Weight Watchers is that it doesn't work. Otherwise, you'd never
But
come back.
yeah, Weight Watchers' business model is based on failure.
Yeah, like
But
otherwise you'd never come.
because women like kind of, this is not on women, but they like to be in a group setting and all get on the scale together and yeah, you've only put a pound on, yeah, like that's not good, that's shit. Like you want to be losing weight. If everybody lost all the weight, like all of their clients, they'd have no business model, would they? So
Yeah. Well,
but they always have one good one, don't they, that they make like star of the year, like Debbie from Portsmouth. It was 15 stone, but everybody else has put like 9 stone on.
yeah. But also
So
like she left a year ago and now she's 300 pounds of shit.
yeah,
Like, but they've like
just screwed everything up.
yeah. If Weight Watchers was like a consistent thing, you don't do a block and have a goal, and they all met up and like their periods synced up and everything was great, and like then and they went all the time like forever. That would be really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could teach them about
Yeah.
other stuff. But you do a block, you buy a block of Weight Watchers, and they're like, "Oh, well done, you've reached your goal. Come back when you're 30 pounds over where you started last time, and we'll take this up again."
Yeah. Give us that ribbon back.
Give us that ribbon, Sharon, you bitch.
Right, gents, how should we wrap this up? Should we ask Chris what his future plans are? Obviously, now he's engaged, so he's going to have to stop going to the gym. He's going to have to start playing darts and going on the pub.
Cut down to
I
3 days
was
a
one of
week
my
for
friends. I'm
one
not
session.
again. I'm not going to say his name. He's like, yeah, the missus has been on to me to, cut the training down to like 3 days a week. I was like, what the fuck? He goes to the gym 4 days a week. Like, there's got to be worse things you can be doing than going to the gym. Like, come on, like for an hour and a half or whatever. But yeah, you're engaged now, Chris. Yeah, that's your career over now.
I had one girlfriend that
That's
was
me.
like, you go and train, and like when you go out, you don't even drink. It's just weird. And I was like, what? You want me to go out and get drunk? Like, what?
Yeah, we know what Dan's plan is. Get massive, get shredded, and get his pro card by the back end of the year. So what's your plans, Chris?
Just try and get as big and as strong as possible. Deadlift 800 pounds, then retire hopefully.
What is your max? I've asked you this before. Sorry, mate. What is your max
Max.
deadlift at this point?
799.
I was just thinking that.
Max is 335 for a double.
You just switched now.
Chris.
You just switched now.
Let me get this. 335
Three,
times 2.2.
yeah.
That's 737. That's only like 63 pounds off. You
Yeah.
can do that tomorrow, Chris.
Well, I'm
Have an extra can of Monster White.
Are you retiring on Friday?
yeah. Literally, fuck this. Like I can't do it anymore. No,
Obviously, jokes aside, the stronger you get, the harder it is to progress that 10, 20, 30 fucking pounds.
Oh, yeah.
How long do you think it's going to take you to get that, Chris? Because you will get it.
But you said it was a double. You said it was a double, right?
Yeah. I reckon I reckon I'll get 800 pounds. See, my thing is, because I'm a bodybuilder style trainer, I can probably get the 800-pound pull if I was to program my deadlifts efficiently and my training efficiently to work to that. But I enjoy the way that I train too much that I couldn't do that style of training and just focus purely on deadlifts. I love deadlifts, but I'm not changing my training up to just focus on that. So I reckon if I can keep them consistent, I can keep consistent on the same bar, same plates, I can be fresh for my sessions, and I be sensible with them up until a certain point. I probably could get it maybe around like maybe 4 months, 5 months.
By Friday.
Yeah.
This Friday.
To be fair, if Deads feel as good as what they felt on the weekend just there, I'll be probably between 320, 340.
I hate this kilogram talk. Dan. I'm a plate, man. How many plates is that, Chris?
7.5.
7.5.
Yes. I'm sure I've seen you barbell run like 5 plates and shit.
That's
something else. This like within the next couple of months, I want like a good set of five plate barbell rows. Definitely.
Yeah,
my low bar just crumble now.
My days.
I want to get back into barbell squats as well.
I did, yeah. Those days are gone. I did do 7.5 and a 2.5 once ever, but that was a long time.
For barbell rows, Dan?
No. I remember when Luke was doing the barbell rows with 5 plates, and I was relatively strong, and I did do it for 6, but they were probably pretty shit. But I put it in my head, it's like, yes, master.
Like all traps, like like that.
Like, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I'm just gonna call it that I did it. So fuck it.
Yeah, no, you did it. Yeah. I believe it.
Have you got the video, Dan? Or it didn't happen?
Well, no, we didn't video things back then.
Yeah. So that's number 1 then, Chris. Deadlift 800. What's number 2? Are you going to compete this year or?
Nah, no chance.
Come on, man! You got so close to the Ultraflex Open.
Season was so long last year. Like prep started on like the first week of March and ended on the last week of October, and that was like there was obviously no off plans or anything like that. Not that that's going to change anything, but no.
That's over a year.
No, it's like 9 months.
Yeah.
Dan, were you not a teacher?
I didn't teach.
Honestly, the one time I did prep for almost a year, I don't think I ever recovered from it.
Well, like
2012, I just don't think I recovered ever.
That's where I'm at now. Like I'm just like getting everything back to that off-season feel, and then I'll definitely take this year just fucking get as strong as possible and just do what I need to do. And like everything's just training based now, so it is. I just want to get that proper feeling back where I can go and rep 7.5 plates off the floor for reps and feel extremely good about it.
I'm just annoyed that Khifie's about to decimate every lift I've ever done. I've been roided off my tits.
Roided is people still use that word, Dan?
In Bristol they do. In Bristol they do.
Roids and what's the other ones on the Steads? Are you on the
Yeah,
Steads?
Steads. What was is Steads short for something or something? What is steroids? I guess.
Steaminoids or
got to
something.
be.
I don't know. Can you say that word out loud? Damn, we just lost 10 grand of our monetization there.
Oh,
We're
fuck,
saying the
not
steroid
again.
word. Fuck's sake.
Is your name pumped as fuck?
Beep everything out.
No, that's my pronouns. Because she choose to have your pronoun. Your name's Sarah, Dan. Hey, Sarah. Well, every week when I'm like, who the fuck's this Sarah? I think, oh yeah, it's Dan. It's every time I think Sarah was saying to me, like, who the fuck is Sarah?
I
Come on, guy, you gotta have your
change it.
pronouns these days, or it doesn't count.
Yeah, Alice's mum did like a like where they meet up for like she's got MS and they do like a little Zoom call, and I just haven't ever figured out how to change it.
Oh, I thought you stole our laptop. I thought that was the reason.
Oh no, she
I thought you
steals
stole
my
our
laptop
and sold yours for some generous
Yeah, sorry, no more MS meetings for you. I've got
Oh
fucking
God, that was brutal. Jesus.
100% podcasts to do.
Fucking.
Well, the next podcast, Dan's worked out how to do all the screen sharing, all that stuff. We're going to do some. Actually,
Oh, yeah,
Chris, we might get you on to do some commentary on some deadlift videos and stuff. Give
Let's make it
your
happen.
reaction.
Let's
Who's
do
doing
that.
some monster deadlifts at the moment?
Let's do it.
What's Joe Mackey doing right now? Is he still doing some crazy deadlifts?
I'm not actually sure. I think he's working. Yeah, he's working towards like £1,000. I think.
£1,000 deadlift. What
Yeah.
the fuck?
What the fuck does £1,000 look like on a bar?
It's like maybe like 10.5 plates. Or
Yeah, I was
something.
just going to think that's about 10 plates, and so he's going to
10.
have some skinny calibrated plates, isn't he?
Yeah.
What?
So
What I'll do, Chris, if you get when you get your 800,
yeah,
we'll get you some calibrated plates for when you get the 900. So that's your
Cool.
goal. If you get an 800, when you get 800, sorry, not if, we'll get some calibrated plates, because the next machine we get is a glutenator. Sorry,
I did see that. I did see that.
We've got a glutenator on the way.
What?
So
What's a glutenator?
It's like it's an abductor machine, but like a one that you literally flop your legs out and back in.
Is it the one that like drives like backwards, kind of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen that, which is
We
annoying.
need to get something. We haven't bought anything for the ladies for a while. Yeah, that's why we've got to dance with perverts like you can't get behind people.
Yeah, but nothing to stop me from just like painting myself and pretending I'm the seat. I
do actually would like a new tech. Obviously, the preacher curl where you can adjust the angle on the preacher. Like, that looks pretty cool. But they're rather expensive just for a curl machine. It's like when I went to see Brian Dobson, he was like, "Why is everybody spending money on these machines? You can just do dumbbell curls." Oh, sorry, that was Brian. I just butchered your accent there. But he is right, though, isn't it? How fancy can you make a bicep exercise? It's a fucking curl, isn't it? Really. So do you want to spend $7 on a new curl machine, like?
But what if it's shit? Like, you have to test it out, right?
No, Miller Sarchef said it's awesome.
All right. Oh, that's a fact.
No, I have seen it online where when you do it, like the old flex one, like Autoflex leads, where you have the pads to stop the elbows from like drifting out on a preacher.
Yeah, I do like that.
Yeah,
we all did that, didn't we? That's what we did in Leeds, isn't it?
Yeah.
That was when Khifie.
Yeah, we need to hook up for another session at some point. Hopefully in a couple of months.
I'm never training with Khifie again. I don't know what you're talking about. You can fuck right off.
No, we'll definitely get it lined up, boys.
I'm not ready for that sort of ego destruction. I'm just saying.
Well, you've got 2 months to prepare.
All right. Okay. Tran.
We're gonna pretty much. We need more of them steads.
Yeah, need the steads, bro.
Super steads. We need the roids.
Roids, bro.
We need to do like a North Leeds trip again. North Leeds.
Mate, I need a year's
we'll have to do a Lincoln one, Autoflex Lincoln's the next one, and then we've got Athens, so we'll have to have a holiday to Athens for a long weekend, I think.
Yep.
We
still need to rebook the trip to Germany.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other week. I said, please let my elbow fucking heal up, because there is still a few things that's on the ticky list. I still, obviously, I got to train at Metroflex Arlington. I definitely still want to go to what's it fucking called again? I forgot now.
Underdog.
Yeah. Underdog Gym. Yeah, I definitely want to go to Underdog Gym. Let's just not book it in the winter where the flights get cancelled again.
Yeah.
Hey, give me a couple of months, guys. See how this elbow goes. If not, I can just train abs and film you guys, and we can fire Jack because he's too expensive. When we had this conversation in 5 guys down. Sorry, Jack. I know you'll probably watch this. I'm only joking. With his mini shoots and all that stuff.
No, what?
Right, gents, should we wrap it up there? Because we've been on like, let me have a look.
Yeah, man, hour 40-ish.
That's not too bad.
I think that is a bite-sized chunk for people to take some valuable lessons from.
So next time we'll have you on, Chris, you're gonna be on the 800-pound club.
I remember when 300 kilos was like you got a t-shirt at the gym and everyone was your mate, and now it's like nothing.
Now nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Like
It is
300
crazy how
like,
everybody's 300 pounds now, isn't it? Like, it was like a huge deal.
Yeah, it's true. Everyone is 300 pounds and everyone's deadlifting 300 kilos. Apart from
I ain't deadlifting 300 kilos. I did 3 plates with a few reps in the day just to kind of ease myself back in. Dan, you know the deal when you got a fucked elbow. I used to get a lot of tricep pain when I used to be all right, and it does pull on like that medial head of your tricep, doesn't it? Like, oh, like, be careful, bell end. I'm telling you not to get injured. I'm kind of getting carried away.
Yeah,
like, just slow it down, man.
Yeah, do you find that on anything where my hands are like totally hanging? Like it's like the joint capsule isn't fully attached.
Yeah.
Like just floats a
Chris
little.
is in his 20s and he's like, no idea what you mean. Sorry.
No.
Mate, you'll find out eventually, Chris.
You were like for ages, you won't, you know. People have asked me because I'm a bit older, they're like, oh, is there anything you would have done differently? And I would have gone harder, faster. And I know that's like really like not the right answer. I started bodybuilding quite late, but I probably would have, when I was younger, probably tried to take more drugs and go more insane.
Oh, God.
I think people
put a disclaimer at the end.
I think people shy away from like actually pushing because
100%, Chris, this is what I said this the other day. People are trying to get out of the way of training heavy. And like get out of the way of eating a lot of food. Like they're trying to just reverse engineer it all to make it easy. It doesn't work.
Like I was doing a close grip barbell press like a couple of days ago there, and some guy actually came up to me and he was like, do you know something? It's refreshing to see somebody fucking work out with a barbell.
Yeah.
Because it's like just not a thing anymore.
No.
And again, we're not hating on machines because I would have spent all my life savings with Ultraflex Gym with Charlie on machines and stuff. And they 1000% have their place, but don't be scared to pick a bar or a dumbbell. For fuck's sake, like. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's funny how that's like a novelty. But yeah,
see how you've just been called like, oh shit, wait, like before if it was the other way around, like, oh, why did you on a machine? Like now it's the other way around. People are shocked that you're using the bar, Chris. It's crazy.
Yeah,
but the strength, the resistance profile is gravity. The thing that gets me is like about this, and we'll fuck off after this, is that our bodies were designed to live within gravity. There's got to be some like evolutionary thing that makes that make sense.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? You know, now people are like, well, in the stretch position, like you're the strongest. I said, well, that makes sense because in gravity, when you're bent over, like that's the hardest. Like we have evolved with gravity in mind, you know, and I think there is something to that.
Just depends what TikTok says, Dan. So tonight before bed, I'll go on TikTok and I'll have a look.
I can only go on TikTok for 15 seconds. That's my limit.
I usually go on TikTok before bed, not to watch silly dances. I usually catch a few of Chris's videos on there, and I like to watch a little bit of politics and a bit of funny stuff. But yeah, I keep saying it. We keep saying it, Dan. And we are going to ask that gentleman about the. Sorry, I do apologise. His name. He changed his name on Instagram now, hasn't he?
Oh yeah, the Welsh Italian.
Yeah, because he said, you know, we've got all these bell ends making content about all this shit. If we want to kind of get them out of the way and get rid of them, you know, the sensible guys kind of do need to make some more content, which I get it totally. So if we can't beat them, join them, all that kind of thing, then hopefully send a bit more positive message than all this fucking nonsense. Chris, I'll send you on Instagram later on. I'll see this guy just.
Yeah, you've got to.
Literally, I think he'll last like 10 seconds in his video. I already sent you it, Dan.
What? Oh, that? No, I couldn't. No, I couldn't.
I just sent it to Matt. I just sent it to Matt early on.
You didn't send it to Matt.
I'll tell you his reply later.
Fucking hell. All right, it was lovely to see you all.
All right, gents. Thanks for your time. We'll catch up again soon, Matt.